while I'm at the airport on my way to go take the bar exam. Wish me luck. Made it to Chicago. It is the Sunday before the bar exam, which is on Tuesday and Wednesday. I flew to Chicago last night, as you guys saw. I'm staying with a friend for the week, and I'm sitting at this desk studying, because what else am I gonna do with the last 48 hours before the most important test of my life? I'm pretty nervous for the week. I've been doing well-ish in all three areas of the test, but especially when it comes to the MEE, the short essay section, I'm really concerned about my ability to pull rule statements out of my head. I haven't been able to just memorize them word for word like would be helpful to do. That's not necessarily required, but it would give me a lot of peace of mind to have more of those committed to memory. So that is what I will be working on. To do that, I have a bunch of stuff going on here. I have first about half of the Critical Pass flashcards that I purchased. I sorted through them last week and kind of pulled out the ones that I thought were most important for me to review. It is a humongous stack, and that will probably be done half today and half tomorrow. I also have a couple outlines here, half that I created and half that other people on Reddit created. I also have a bunch of stuff like that in a digital form in my computer that I'm going to review as well. And then finally, if I have time, I'm going to continue working through my Barbary books here, as well as that green title, just kind of as a final review for the MBE subjects, which are also fair game on the essays. So a lot to do, but I am going to sit here and be diligent about it so that no matter what, I can say that I did my absolute best on this exam, and I wouldn't have done anything differently in my study process, even if I had the chance. I'm hoping I won't need that chance, and from what I can predict and tell, I've done all the work that I need to be successful on the bar exam, but ultimately at the end of the day, you just don't know until you know, until the results are released in October. So praying and hoping and doing everything I can to make sure that that result will be a pass. But I'm thankful to have supportive family and friends who love me either way. Man, if I have to take this again, that's not going to be good. But lots of smart people fail the bar exam every year. So you just do what you can do. I'm going to keep working here. It is July 24th, and hopefully in the next 3 months, and by the end of this video, you and I will both know if I passed the bar exam. Went shopping and got some snacks. That's deep dish pizza right there. My friend made cinnamon rolls, and they are so good. It is day 2 of final prep, meaning that the bar exam is tomorrow. Yesterday, I finished up studying secure transactions, criminal law and procedure, and started on constitutional law. Oh, and I also did wills, I think. Yeah, it's all just kind of a blur, so just trying to keep everything in my head and do final practice questions and memorize rule statements and stuff like that. Today we're tackling the rest of the subjects, maybe looking over some practice essays. Probably not going to write anything though, given that I have to write 8 essays tomorrow. So that's what we're going to do right now. They've moved to the kitchen table for more space and a lot of essays. It's the morning of the bar exam and I am freaking out, but I think I can honestly say I've prepared as much as humanly possible. I studied all yesterday until like 9 o'clock. Got up at 5 this morning. Have been studying for another extra half hour in the car while I ate my breakfast. And the doors are opening for registration in 9 minutes. So I'm at the UIC Forum, which is where the test is being held. It's July 26th. And hopefully this goes well. I will not be able to talk to you guys for most of the rest of the day. I might give you an update later tonight, but my phone will be off until like 5 p.m. So let the separation anxiety begin. All right, wish me luck. Bye. So it is now about 8 o'clock at night. Obviously day one of the bar exam is over. I'm back at the house. They're doing some construction, so that's what's going on behind me. It was a really bad day. I wasn't sure what, if anything, I should film at the end of tonight, if I should just wait to see how tomorrow went and then kind of do like an all-encompassing thing or what, but I thought about it and I decided that I wanted to give you guys a real honest opinion. As much play-by-play as I could, given that I wasn't on my phone all day. And if that results in the end of this video being a failed score on the bar exam, then maybe you'll know why. And if it results in a pass, then that is evidence of God's grace, because it was so bad. Okay, so started the morning with the MPTs. There were 2 essays, and actually before I say anything else, let me just say this is my opinion. I obviously haven't talked to every single person who took the first part of the Universal Bar exam today, or even those who took it in Chicago like I did. There were a lot of people who took it in Chicago with me. We had 2 giant like auditoriums full of people, hundreds and hundreds, if not breaking 1,000. And I will say that what I'm about to say seems largely reflected from what I can tell talking to people, overhearing conversations, and scrolling on Reddit looking for solidarity. But obviously, I'm not speaking for anybody besides myself. So, all right, back to it. Beginning of the day was the MPT, which is like a practical testing of your ability to implement your reading, research, and writing skills in a task that might really be given to you once you're a lawyer. Typically, they are in the form of memorandums, and all of the information that you need. It's like a closed universe exam. Everything you need to talk about is in the exam materials for you. I can't talk on this video about the substance of any of the questions I did. In CBE, the National Conference of Bar Examiners, I think, strictly prohibits that, and I'm not trying to justify my license if I happen to get one after today. But I'm sure by the time the video is released, you can just look up what the questions were somehow. So I'm not going to say the subject of any of the test questions, but there were 2 MPTs, and overall I felt pretty good about them, actually. I've done several MPTs in the last 2 or 3 months, maybe like 4 or 5, and in all of them I struggled with timing and I struggled with organization of my answer.
but I really didn't think that I had those struggles today. The subjects were interesting. They were more specifically topical than I was expecting them to be. I thought they'd be a little bit more like abstract. I know I sound really vague right now, but basically what I'm trying to say is that the MPT was more straightforward than I expected it to be. So I actually walked out of the morning session feeling pretty good mentally about how I was doing. I knew that that would be the easiest part of the test, but it was like surprisingly easy, which I say with a grain of salt, hoping that my scores reflect that in October. I wasn't physically feeling awesome because by the time we got to lunch, it was almost 1 o'clock and I hadn't gone to the bathroom in like 6 hours and I hadn't eaten in like 7. And as somebody who usually eats lunch at like 11 a.m., my stomach hurt, and then we had like 15 minutes to eat and go to the bathroom, and there was only 10 stalls for like 400 women, so it was a whole disaster. But I basically went to sit down for the MEE feeling as prepared as I was gonna be, which I kind of talked about last night. I really studied over the weekend, spent a lot of time drilling down information on MEE specific subjects and also a couple MBE subjects that were predicted to be on the bar exam this year, and felt better about them than I had before. There's lots of frequency charts online about what tends to come up on the bar a lot, things that you probably shouldn't be devoting that much time to studying because it's so rare. And without, again, disclosing the topics, I can tell you that at least 5 of the 6 of them were on those super rare topics that I certainly did not spend a lot of time studying. So as I'm flipping through the 6 essays, you get half an hour for each one that you get to divide yourself. You just get like a 3-hour chunk of time and they're like, here's 6 essays. I feel like in the practice tests that I've done, it's been pretty specifically, here's one issue and maybe like 2 or 3 variations on that issue. And these questions were like, here's 4 issues, 5 questions, and every single question is like that, so there's no possible way you could do them all thoroughly within half an hour. You couldn't even do one thoroughly in an hour. I spent a good 40 minutes on one of the questions, which then meant that I only had like 15 minutes for my last question, which was on a topic that was almost specifically told to me in bar prep would not be on the bar exam. The silver lining of this is that I feel like most people feel the way that I did. A lot of people were on Reddit who had taken the bar before, either once or twice, and they said this one was by far the hardest. Everyone felt like me, like you studied hard, you put in the time, and it just didn't matter at all. So I literally walked out of the exam feeling confident that no matter how I do tomorrow, I'm going to fail. And I also walked out feeling like I didn't do any better today than I would have done on day 1 of studying. Like, literally nothing that was on those essays was something that I spent a lot of time thinking about, or even that I remember reviewing. So that's extremely frustrating, because I know that it's not for a lack of effort on my part, and there's just not enough hours in the 2.5 months that you have to study to know everything perfectly. You have to be strategic about what you choose to focus on and what you don't. And I know that that's true because everyone else who I heard from, online or in person, who had big fancy bar prep companies like me that they paid $2,000 to teach you how to take the bar, didn't have any clue what they were talking about on the MEE today. Once they finally released us, I walked to my car and cried half the way home. My mom was on the phone with me trying to make me feel better and pray with me and remind me that it's all in God's hands, which I totally believe and agree with. And you know, it's my desire to praise and honor him regardless of the results of this test, but at the same time, it is really frustrating to be in this situation and to feel like, you know, my whole life is right ahead of me and a stupid test that doesn't actually have anything to do with anything that I'll be doing or anything to do with the reason I need this license is going to determine my ability to get it. And jeopardize, frankly, my financial future quite a bit because I'll lose my job offer if I don't pass on the first time. Not that I couldn't get another one, but I spent a lot of money and time and effort on this one. So, yeah, just not in a great headspace right now. And trying to snap out of it enough and remind myself that, you know, I have studied really hard, that I do know a lot, that I have done really well on my MBE tests leading up to this point, and it's not over until I get the list in October. I truly don't know if it's possible for me to pass at this point. Like, there's just no way to know. So you still have to, like, go the second day and try your hardest, but I just feel like there's no room for error. And even if I do the best MBE test that I've ever done, it still might not matter. So yeah, I'm really hoping that this like comes across as very melodramatic in a couple months, because I'll find out that I passed and then I never have to worry about it again. But right now in the moment, I've really never been lower mentally. So yeah, gonna head to bed and clearly not doing any kind of review tonight because frankly it just kind of seems pointless, especially after spending the weekend reviewing and it not doing a single thing for me. Just gonna hope that what I've done over the last couple months is enough, even though right now it doesn't feel that way. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Round 2, let's do this. Alright, fam bam. Sorry for the ridiculous angle, but I just kind of want to talk right now before I get back to the house. Took the multiple choice today, 200 questions, 25 of them experimental, and then 25 on each of the MBE subjects, not in any particular order. 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. That was the format of today. We did get a real lunch hour, like a whole 50 minutes, so that was nice. I spent it sitting in my car and eating deep dish pizza and listening to a podcast about movies. I only spent like 15 minutes this morning in the parking lot eating my breakfast and doing a quick review of property and contract flashcards, just like a couple ones that I had pulled out to a quick review. I didn't end up doing anything last night, study-wise. And I can honestly say I'm glad I didn't because I really needed the sleep. I got to sleep a little bit longer this morning, and genuinely there were no more than 5 questions on the MBE that I feel like I potentially could have done a better job on had I studied more. So I don't say that at all to say that I'm confident about my performance. Let me be very clear about that. I felt like I definitely got 50 of the 200 right, which is not enough to pass. You need like 130-ish, which I may have gotten and I may not have, but I genuinely don't know. I don't feel as awful as I did yesterday, but I don't feel awesome either. But circling back to what I was saying before, I just feel like most, if literally all but like 5 of the ones that I wasn't confident about had to do with application and the way that the question was written, and it didn't feel to me like I'm struggling with this because I don't know what
it's more like I don't know how the rule applies, or I don't know which of these answers is supposed to reflect that rule. So that's kind of where I'm at. I feel truly like I have done everything that I could have up to this point, and if I don't pass overall, it's just because the test was ridiculously hard, and that's it. Like, it couldn't, like, was everything fair game that was on the test? Yeah, but when you have 2.5 months, you can't memorize all of the law, of all of the subjects of law that possibly exist in 2.5 months. Knowing what I know now, I still wouldn't have changed how I prioritized, except to, like, spend a ton of time on really obscure topics that I never would have thought to think about more than the one time that they were said or put in front of me. So, yeah, I'm not feeling like if I fail that it's because I didn't do enough, but I do feel like it's a real possibility still. So, I don't know. It all depends on how it's scaled, how everybody else performed, and how good my educated guesses were today. But I'm headed back to the house now to meet some Portillos, and then tomorrow we'll start looking at apartments in the area on the assumption that I will be living here by the end of the year, which may or may not happen depending on how this test goes. But we are nearing the end of the video, believe it or not. It is the end of July for me, but by the time you're seeing this, it is October. And you are going to know in a much quicker amount of time than me what the results of my tests were. So, yeah, I'm just praying, trying to not be anxious, but to put my trust in the Lord and that His will be done in my life, which I've been led to believe from all of the circumstances up to this point includes passing the bar. So we'll see if I'm right. But yeah, that's all for now. Next time you see me in this video will probably be in October, but if something crazy happens before then, I will check in. All right, bye. I just got the email. The bar results are out. This is not the official camera setup or look that I usually try to have on the internet, but I wanted to get my genuine reaction. It is 1:20 p.m. Pacific time, and I am logging into my account. I've heard that they usually send out passes first before fails, so that seems like a good sign. Okay. It's a couple days later, and although it feels like I've had time that I should have processed this, I'm still just buzzing. And not only did I pass, but I also found out my score, which was 324. I will let you do your own research on what that means in the context of passing. All I will say here is that that is an incredibly high number that I never thought I would be able to accomplish, even if I had walked out of test day feeling great. And as you saw, I walked out of test day feeling like there was a very good chance that I hadn't even reached a 266, which is the score that I needed to pass the bar and practice in Illinois. The fact that that score and a pass is attached to my name is in no way changing how I look back on the actual process of studying for or taking the bar exam. I still feel like it is not a great indication of my abilities as a lawyer or of my intelligence. I think that there are lots of other things that I've done and ways in which I've performed and hopefully demonstrated those things to the people that it matters to me to demonstrate them to. And although the bar exam did work out for me, it didn't feel like it was going to at all.
The reality is that I still feel like I didn't write a single right answer in the entire essay portion. And although I clearly guessed very well on multiple choice, there were less than 50 of the 200 questions that I felt confident about. At the end of the day, none of these opinions really matter. I get to now move to Illinois, start my dream job, and never think about the bar again. But while we're making this a video, I do want to put it in there in case anyone is watching that is studying for the bar exam or has failed it. I certainly would not ascribe that to any quality of yours that has a real tie to your ability to be a lawyer or a good person or a smart student or anything like that. Please be encouraged that apparently this test is doable even if you feel like absolute crap after taking it. If you guys have any questions about the bar exam regarding how I studied for it, what it was like to take it, what it was like waiting, and what my score means now that I have it, or anything like that, please go ahead and write those in the comments below. I will definitely respond to them there, and if there's enough interest, I can make another video if you guys want. I tried to make this one as comprehensive as possible, so I will be surprised if that happens, but it's totally okay if it does. As always, you guys can also let me know other topics for videos that you would like to see in the comments below. If you liked this one, please do go ahead and like it. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time. Until then, God bless.